Hi everyone, welcome back to another video on my progress with the closet build. It's very nice to see you again. I do appreciate your audience. I've made quite a bit of progress with my build, and I'm very excited to share how far I've come. My closet is made up of three parts. The lower cabinets, the lowest level. On top of that is a tall hanging space, and right on top of that is a shorter cabinet just for storage. This video will cover the design of the entire closet as I've done it so far. And then I'll do another video where I show you the build itself, the progress, and where I'm at right now. I'm also happy to share that I'm actually very, very close to the end of this build. I'm very excited. It's taken me a long time to get here. I'm really grateful to have been able to achieve this level of progress. So I'll go ahead and share my plans, share my screen so that you can see exactly where my plans are at. So here we are again at the closet design level. Again, once again, this is on SketchUp 2017 version, which you can get for free. It allows you to do just about everything you need. Again, I'm not an advanced user of SketchUp, so maybe there's probably features that you get when you sign on and get a license. I'm sure there are, but 2017 gives you enough versatility to do just about anything you need to be able to present a decent looking project. So we'll go ahead and step into this. So this is what the closet looks like when you walk in through the door. And you can see there's three walls, the left side, which is my wall, the middle, which is the widest wall, and the left side, which is my spouse's wall. And then towards the back here is where the linen closet is, and the door is somewhere just like as you walk in and you're looking at it straight. So some of the things I did before was the lower cabinets. As you can see where the little hand is, the little pointer is. The lower cabinets were all built, as you saw in the last design video and progress video. And so right now, I have been building this middle closet, the middle cabinets. These are the tall cabinets that are going to have hanging rods for hanging, all sorts of clothes. I have pull-out drawers in the middle, just like I had in the previous section for the middle wider cabinet. I also added a few accessories to the place. So I have, for example, added a jewelry drawer for myself. And you can see it over there is a tilted design. So the way I built this one, it's already done. I'm going to include it in the video, is I built a regular pull-out drawer. I lined it with velvet fabric and I put in dividers to hold things like earrings, jewelry, and stuff like that. It's just a nice addition because I wanted to have this closet have like all sorts of storage that I wanted to have. And then the top shelf is a framed acrylic sheet that looks like glass. I didn't want to do glass because it's just a little more expensive, more complex to deal with. Acrylic is much cheaper, looks just as good. And I put a 1/4 inch acrylic in there. And you can see through this design, this is how I intended it to be. I have a little ledge right there that's a 1/4 inch deep. So that allows my acrylic sheet to fall in and stay flush against the top shelf. So that is probably going to make sense as you see it better in the actual build itself. So that's one of the things I did. And then right here in this corner, the other thing I did was I added this shelf because I wanted to break up this corner cabinet. This corner piece, I tried to build it as one, and it was one of the lessons I learned from this build was I would probably never do that again because it was just so huge and so tedious to work with. And I actually think most closets that have a corner piece, unless you're very clever in how you use that corner, you always end up with dead space. And that's not, I mean, why? Well, there's no point of having dead space. So I tried to break it up so I have like a shelf in here and maybe I can put some folded items in here. But if I had to do this closet again, I would eliminate the entire corner piece and maybe have it cut off at some point. So I didn't have that huge corner that you can't even reach into. It's just not realistic. So I'm going to have to get very clever in how I put up my hanging rods so that way I can use up that space and not end up having that dead space. And the other thing I did for my closet is I added LED lighting. LED lighting was a brand new challenge for me. Loved it. I would do it again anytime, thanks to my friend. And there's a lot of wiring involved. So this little angled piece over here that you can see actually hides the wiring that comes from the topmost shelf over there. There is a wire that snakes down there all the way to the lower cabinet. And so to hide it, I had to come find clever ways to do that. So I cut a piece of wood, made it into a little corner piece, and my wire lies in there. So that's some of the things I had to learn how to do, and just to make it keep it clean. And then I'll walk you through some other pieces. Right there, you can see the pull-out drawers. Again, these are shallow drawers, just like the ones below. I made them 2 inches off of the back piece. So that way, when my light is shining at the back, you should be able to see light trickle down all the way to the bottom of the cabinet. It looks very, very nice when it's completely done. So very proud of that. The other thing I wanted to show you, so I will have another corner piece right there. You can see, let me zoom in. That's another corner piece right there. And it also covers another wire that comes from the top all the way down to my puller drawer in the lower cabinet, where I have my power supply for the LED lights for this side of the closet. As you can see, that's put in there directly on purpose because I have the cutout that opens up to the electrical outlet that powers that. So when I was designing this closet, I really had to think of the logistical challenges of how would I put in any lighting, where would I put my cabinetry so that I have access to electrical outlets, how will the LED lighting flow. So those are some of the things I had to think about well in advance and work with a company that could give me solutions to that. So again, I said before, I used FlexFire LEDs for my LED lighting. I'll definitely leave their uh, information in the link. This is not a sponsored video by them, but I highly recommend them. Their material is expensive, it's pricey, but again, you get what you pay for. I loved FlexFire LEDs, excellent lighting, excellent technical support, on and off hours. So I would use them over and over again. So that's something that I really walked away with good knowledge about. And I want to show you the other side. So on the other side of the closet, on the right-hand side, again, that's my cutout for the our other power outlet. And I'll rotate it around so that we're able to look at this side. So in here, in the corner there, you can see right there. So that piece there is where I'm going to hide the power supply for the middle part of the closet and for the right-hand side of it. My outlet is right there in that corner. So I've drilled 3 holes into the cabinets so that it takes on the wiring from this section and the wiring from that section. And then I have a power strip that powers the 2 power supplies, and I'm having them hidden in here. And I had cut out holes in the cabinet that houses them because I want to be able to have some air circulate in those units. I don't want them to get too hot. So again, I want to have them just be as comfortable as possible because power supplies do generate heat and you want to keep them as cool as possible. So that's something I had to think about. The other thing that I did over here too was, if I tilt this a bit, I built a sock drawer for my husband. So these are just regular drawers. I put in dividers for them, and each of them should hold about 25 pairs of socks. It's fair to say he has enough sock storage for a good time, but you never know. We'll see. I'll let you know. So I built 2 of those, and those came out really well. And I did the same acrylic shelf that I did, like I did on my jewelry drawer. The other thing I did for this side also was on this end, right here, I have that as a shelf, but really what I have is another divided storage where he can keep things like cufflinks, bracelets, watches, um, documents like, passports and stuff like that. And really the inspiration for that came from your James Bond type of movies where the real very masculine closets have a drawer that opens and he has watches, rings, and all sorts types of things. But again, because he's a special agent always on the run, he always had a wad of cash and passports. So I'm kind of hoping that he has that. Also, I'm hoping that my husband leaves a wad of cash in this drawer. That would be fun. And so on this side, I'll show you where I have the LED channels for the lighting. So if this agrees to tilt, you should be able to see. See that channel back there? Right there. That's where my LED lights go. And to say this is a highly precise job is putting it very mildly. I'm a perfectionist, and this drove me crazy because everything had to flow correctly. I wanted the wiring for the LEDs to flow from one cabinet to another without any adjustments, and I achieved that. The distance between the back cabinet and the LED channel is exactly 2 inches all around. Made my life very easy when it came to threading the lights through. And you can see on the upper cabinets, the shorter ones, I wanted the LED lights not to be all the way in the back because it's a 9 foot ceiling. And if they're all the way in the back, you really can't appreciate them. So I floated this idea to the kids, and they agreed that I should put the LED lights for the topmost cabinet to the front. And so this idea here was basically sponsored by my kids, and thanks to them, I got it implemented. I think it looks very nice. And so I did the exact opposite. Instead of having 2 inches from the back, this is exactly 2 inches from the front. It makes a lot of sense when you see the lighting come on because it really does look very nice. So the top cabinets, the way I did it, remember how I told you I wanted to eliminate the corner because it's a dead space? I wasn't going to be reaching up 9 feet into my ceiling to retrieve anything hidden in the back. So what I did was eliminate the corner. And you can see right there, if I go a bird's eye view, there's nothing in there. That would have been definitely the true definition of a dead space. So this cabinet and this one just butt to each other. They, meet at a corner, literally, and cover that space. And then I have my LED channels. As you can see, I have a little hole there, and that's where my LED lights get threaded through. So it was quite an interesting time fitting everything in and making sure that everything works correctly. Again, I'll show you the LED channels all across, right there in the middle part. And you can see them right there. If I zoom a little in, you can see them in the middle cabinet. They're right there. So even with the drawers pushed in all the way in, because these are full extension drawers, you will still be able to see light trickling in the back. This was something that I really wanted to see come true, and it really worked out beautifully. So I'm very proud of that coming through. The other thing I wanted to show you was the way I built my cabinets. I hid the back panel sandwiched in between the four side pieces that make up a cabinet, and they have a channel all around that's a 1/4 inch deep. Cut that through and fix the panel in there. So it's held nice and free. It's cut just a tad smaller than the piece that it's supposed to fit into, kind of gives it enough room to do movement. And I know plywood doesn't really behave like your typical solid woods where there's expansion and contraction based on humidity, temperature and stuff like that. But still, it's a wooden product. I didn't want it to be too snug, so it has a little bit of room to move if it ever has to. Plywood would probably never do that. But also to strengthen the cabinets, the other thing I did, and I haven't added it to this design picture, is I put stretchers, which are basically braces. I put a piece of wood that's basically about 3.5 inches tall at the base of each cabinet, screwed it into each wall, and that just keeps my cabinet really, really tight and square. And I did it both at the top and at the bottom. And for the middle cabinets, because they're tall, I also added that stretcher to the central part of the cabinet. And the reason I did that is because I didn't want it to bow out if it ever was under any pressure. And so that stretcher or stringer, people call it different things, it's just a brace. It just keeps it together. That's really what it does. And so I have 3 of those for these taller cabinets. For the small cabinets, I just have top and bottom. And for the bottom cabinets, again, I just have the 2 of them. So that's basically all I have for the For the design, I think I've shown you everything that I did. The other thing too, that again, this is the other corner, and you can see my channel. This is the channel that I have for my LED lights, comes out through there. This is the channel I have for my back piece of the back of the closet. The one thing that's different on this design picture here is my top cabinets do not extend all the way 24 inches to the back because I realized it's going to be a nightmare to reach into the back. So what I did, and I didn't really, there's not going to be that much put up there. It's just for pretty stuff. And because I didn't want to have empty space above the top cabinets. So really what I did was I was able to use up a lot of my scrap plywood by making this cabinet only 18 inches deep. So in reality, my cabinets extend only just about to there. And that's very handy. Nobody will ever notice because, again, when you're standing on the ground level and you're about average height, like me, you will never notice that that cabinet is slightly shorter. So, really, it just made it easier for me. I was able to use up a lot of scrap pieces, and that worked out really well. So, yeah, so that's what I have. I don't know whether there's anything else I can show you about this one. Let me see. We can just do a view of the back of it. That is the back of it. Like if you are behind the wall, when I set it up, you would be able to see, and you have a good understanding of just how massive these corner pieces are. Look at that. That is huge. This is about 48 inches wide. This is 53 inches tall. And the other side of it has also 48 and 53. So really, this was a double cabinet acting as a corner piece. And it was massively heavy. Plywood is incredibly heavy to lift. And putting a unit like this together was a nightmare. I don't think I want to do anything like that again. If I have to do something like that again, I would have to do it in pieces, not a one piece like I ambitiously thought I could. I achieved it this time, but yeah, I don't want to do that again. Again, I've learned a lot in this project. I've learned a lot of things that I would do differently. And so those are some of the things I'll take to the next project because I definitely will build another closet in my house at some point. And again, this is just the left-hand side, the outlet. I try to make the process as repeatable as possible because I did a lot of batching up of the jobs that I was doing. So all the pieces have uniform cuts, which meant that I could use the same setting on either my router or my table saw for cutting out channels or dados or cutting out lengths or squaring things up. It really makes your life easier if you can have one setting and then that way you know all your pieces are going to have the same setting. If you make a mistake, it will be repeated on everything, which means it will not show up as a mistake. Hopefully, it's not that bad. So, having to tamper with a tool several times to change settings, you never quite get the same setting that you were before. So, my rule is if I'm about to make a cut, I make sure that I have all the pieces that I want to cut lined up. And that way I can have one cut for all the pieces that need to be cut to that length or that width. And then I can touch that dial and move it along and change it to another setting. It's just some of the things I've learned to make my life easy is do batch jobs whenever you can. So that's what I did. And it worked out really well for me. So that's again the back view. This is the side view. And this is the front view. Again, all the drawers have been put in. I have worked on getting all the drawer fronts in. The remaining part of this, in order for my closet to be completely done, is a couple of things that I need to do. I need to install all the hardware for hanging clothes. I need to get the floors done. And I need to finally make a decision on whether I'm going to keep the island or not. I am really leaning on not keeping the island. And so I might have another mini project coming up. And I think I will. It's not a might, I will. And it's going to be a sitting space because I think it's just nice to have seating space in the closet. So I'm going to design a small, well, maybe slightly larger ottoman, maybe with storage in it, and put it in the middle of the closet. And that will be a nice sitting space. So you can sit there and contemplate on what color you're going to wear. So that's something I wanted to have a problem with. So I have finally decided to do design carpet on the floor. I thought of doing hardwood, but I have scrapped that idea just because I thought it's too much, hard products in the closet. I wanted something to soften the look a little, and nothing softer than a nice thick pile rug on the floor when you walk in there. So I'm going to go and pick out a carpet, get it installed, and then hopefully I should be able to have clothes back in there because I'm tired of having to look for clothes from all over the place. So I'll see you on the next one when I show you the actual closet itself. I do appreciate your audience as always. And uh, click on subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Click on the post notifications so that you can get notified every time I post a video. And once again, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. And I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.